Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning. So, as promised, we now have a conversation with our client, Neeraj, in Brand Builders Academy. He's got his business to $5,000 a day, pretty much his first e-commerce business. And he'll be here sharing about his journey, his experience so far, what's been working for him, so you guys can learn from it, get some amazing insights. And Neeraj will be joining us here in just a second. And you guys just let me know drop one in the chat if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. And we will get started. I'm gonna make sure sound and everything is on point. And we are ready to go. Just drop one in the chat. Neeraj will be joining us just in a few minutes. He's using funnels, by the way, from day one of running his e-commerce business. He is using funnel. Neeraj, my man, can you hear me?
What's up? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, my man.
Cool. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good to meet you.
Yeah, I gave audience an introduction. I just want to make sure this is proper data. So you're doing $5,000 a day with your business?
Yeah.
Nice. And you're
that is a recent development.
Hello? And you're using funnels?
Correct.
That's awesome, man. So, how did you get into e-commerce in the first place? When did you get into it?
So, I guess long story. I have been an entrepreneur for a long time. I haven't done e-commerce. Before this, I was doing like technology startups out of Silicon Valley. Spent probably 10 years doing that. Then the last 5 years, I was investing in startups. So I run a venture capital fund, but I wanted to do something more entrepreneurial. My cousin was in ESS, and he kind of showed me the ropes a little bit back in November, December. And then I got started doing it on my own, basically like middle of January, February.
That's awesome. And so this is the first store that you're running, and you successfully scaled it?
Right. Yeah. First store, I've been doing it probably for like 2 or 3 months now, something like that. And it's a lot of work, but it's, it can work. Awesome. I'm still at the beginning, obviously. This is like, there's a long journey ahead. So let's see where things end
up. So
how
is, when you were working, because you were working in the industry like that's, famous. You can make a lot of money with technology, like in Silicon Valley. Like, what was the reasons? Like, why did you decide to switch from that industry, like, after working so many years in it?
Yeah. I love entrepreneurship. I wanted to do something where I didn't need to raise money and I didn't need to build a big team. And I like the idea of owning the business outcome kind of completely. Also, I'm in a specific space where I'm actually leveraging one of the companies that I invested in, one of their like some of their technology in the product that I'm using. So it was kind of a natural extension of that. But yeah, I would say ultimately, I just like being an entrepreneur, and I like being able to do things without needing to hire a bunch of people or raise money or any of that stuff. And
what's wrong with raising money? Because people might be listening. It's like, hey, like you see all of these headlines, right? Like on it's like this company raised like $100 million.
Yeah.
That sounds good, right? Like, what would go wrong? Like,
yeah. It's a good question. So raising money is the kind of thing that sounds really good in headlines, but it comes with a lot of nothing's ever free. It comes with a lot of strings attached. So you have to have a very specific growth rate. You're going to have to put people on your board. You're not going to be able to make kind of decisions on your own. And you have to start to run your business in a way where you often get stuck on a treadmill of raising capital, where you raise a round and now you need to grow really, really quickly so that you can raise your next round because you're probably unprofitable. And it is a different type of prison, I would say, for a lot of entrepreneurs. It's great for some, and it's great for a lot of types of businesses, but the more money you raise, the less freedom you have and control you have on your business. And so I wanted to have more control and more freedom.
Interesting. And so the more money you raise, like basically your ownership in the company that you may have started just like kind of dilutes, and you own like less and less percentage of it.
Mm-hmm. So you own less and less percent, yes, but also you have to meet certain expectations, and so you have not only do you have less, but now there's other like stakeholders who have say and who have a vision, and you start to be less of a fulcrum of all of the strategic decisions, and now you have to like manage a lot of other parties, I would say.
Okay, wow. It becomes like
Yeah.
you have to focus now on kind of like keeping them happy instead of just focusing on growing the business and doing what's right.
Yeah, and for some businesses that need the money, for a lot of like really deep tech companies that need money to there are a lot of other ways to build businesses that don't require that, and I think those are more fun.
Awesome. And so once you like, when did you first like, did you know about e-commerce like before? Like, did you consider getting into it before, or like basically beginning of this year?
No, yeah, not really. I would say I started to look into it maybe in like September, October. As I was I was trying to pick a path, and this was like one of the things I was considering, and there's a lot of things about it that appealed to me.
And what's the most appealing for you, like in e-commerce specifically?
I think that the feedback loop cycles are really fast. Like I can make changes in the morning and you can start to see the results in minutes, basically. And I think when you have like really fast feedback loops, you can start to iterate, you can improve, you can like, and I think that's very motivating. So that's one. And then, yeah, two, it's very hard, but it's simple, and I think there's there's only a certain number of inputs and there's a certain number of outputs, and the work itself is a grind and it's super hard and you have to do a lot, but the actual model itself is clear, which I like.
Interesting. There is one, I don't know if you know Pat Lab. You know Pat Lab?
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Monsanto, I think is the name of the guy. He's
he's coming. I don't know him personally, but yeah.
He's I think he's coming from also like he's coming from venture capital space, and he created like several unicorns actually. But like one of his companies, he has this company called patlab.co in e-commerce space, and it's interesting how like he basically applied like all the same kind of, once you have, I think the mindset that you have could be very, very beneficial, because like you see how the businesses can be scaled. Like once you know the numbers, once you know the economics, because that's like usually how the businesses are grown. Like you can see a clear path to building like really like massive business because of the exposure you've had. Like you've seen really big businesses, you've seen, businesses that scale to like, hundreds of millions, like billions of dollars. And so I think that will be super valuable to you on your journey. But at the same time, like you said, in terms of feedback loops, in terms of getting like product market fit, e-commerce is, one of those models where you can validate these things like very, very fast.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely a knife fight. Every day you're just like in a grind, but but yeah, once you understand the inputs and outputs, I think you can start to build something strong.
how was that learning curve? So for you, like technology wise, I mean, you've been involved in technology. Like, have you been like a developer, or like you were more on the business development?
No.
Like,
Yeah, I started companies, but all kind of on the business side. So I don't like, I'm not an engineer or anything like that.
so when you got into e-commerce, in e-commerce, there's like Shopify, there's like several of these like different tech platforms which are not very sophisticated, but there's still like a learning curve. How was that learning
Hmm.
curve for you? Like, did you learn how to do it by yourself? Did you like hire people from day one, like having experience with hiring
Mm,
and building teams? Like,
yeah.
how was that for you?
What I found is it is so much better to just do it yourself and learn it. And the more you try to outsource, especially in the beginning, you can only outsource once you know how to do it. Otherwise, it becomes this huge debt, and things like don't work out, and then you're not capable of even fixing things. And so you kind of have to just go through the grind of learning it all from day one. And what I would say is that actually, like, yeah, these tools are kind of are complicated, but there's so many more tools than there used to be. It's like it's never been easier to start in the history of humanity than it is today. And it's still really hard. It's still a lot of work, but 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was so much harder. Like Shopify is like a godsend, and I'll give you a shout out. Like tools like Get Hooked, like these things are like pretty incredible developments, I would say, for entrepreneurs.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we have made some adjustments. I don't know if you've seen. We've updated some. We added some new filters to Get Hooked. You can now filter by brands that have like over like specific number of active ads. We updated the rankings for winning ads. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we just released. I'm very excited for those and see how you guys benefit from it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I still have so much to learn. I'm still at the very beginning. So it's also kind of fun to just do something new and like learn it all. And like, it's a new game, but I, I'm not trying to overplay my hand. I'm literally at the very beginning uh, of this entire thing.
It's fascinating what you said though, right? Because I have seen entrepreneurs, especially with a business background, with the people that have been in business for some time. They getting into e-commerce and they're trying to kind of like outsource everything from day one. Kind of like build a team because they have experience building teams. But like we said, I mean, I have exactly the same beliefs that you have to understand things at least kind of like on a fundamental like level. Like maybe you won't be like an expert in all of the other all the aspects of your e-commerce business, but you have to understand, okay, what makes a difference? Like, let's say, what makes a good ad versus a bad ad? What makes a good landing page versus like bad landing page? Like, kind of like just understanding those things so you can properly evaluate the quality of work that like your team members like bring to the table, or contractors that you hire. And I think people like oftentimes just surpass this step and they just want to kind of like hire everyone, like outsource, delegate, be like a just kind of like sit and watch while their business is
Yeah.
built for them. And so yeah, that's I
Yeah.
would
I mean,
say really
and to be honest, I've had that. Then you try it and it sucks, and then you're like, shit, I done it myself. I would have saved time. I would have saved money, and like, you learn all these things. At least I do. You try to internalize as much as you can, but then eventually you just have to try to make mistakes and learn from it.
for
So
sure. What is what was the timeline for you to launch your first this store? Like, how much time did it take you to develop? How much time did it take you to kind of like launch it
yeah,
and get it live?
I probably started working on it like right around January 1st and launched it like February 3rd. So about a month. And, I was through that, but it was my first time. So I was learning all the tools for the first time. I was like kind of learning everything for the first time, um, and trying to get
So
things set up.
so 1 month.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so during that month, like what's because different people learn differently. like what was the best way for you to learn? Was just like get your hands dirty, or like watch content, or and then apply it, or talk to our team and getting their help, like putting things together? What was the most helpful for you?
Yeah. Well, so I joined the program probably halfway through that month. And I would say the first half of the month was like pretty useless. I was just like, I was just like flailing around. Um, Watching the content was helpful, but for me, like I'll watch the content, I'll think I'll get it, and then you do it and you realize, oh shit, there's no other way to learn for me at least, unless besides just doing it. And then you do it and it fails, and then you iterate, and then so for me it was just constantly doing it, going back to the coaches are like incredible, and having those like touch points throughout the week, and that feedback, all these things like just speed up your feedback loop and things like that. And then I get stuck, and then Sergey or Richie or whoever just gives me some some wisdom, and you get unblocked, and like it's just this constant, you're doing something, you hit a roadblock, you go to the content, you go to your coaches, and then you figure out ways to get around it. And it's just like every day is like that, I feel like.
What are you saying about this way of like learning versus like what you've kind of like how is it different from the previous like learning experiences that you've had, like in terms of like figuring stuff out?
I think there's actually so much more content for ecom than there is like in so many other industries. Like it's to the point where there's too much content, and you realize that like the more you read, the more you watch. One of the reasons it's not as useful is because there's so much content that eventually you'll hear every single opinion and every single strategy, and they all conflict. And like the more you watch, the more kind of confused you can get. And that's why you just have to, and even when you talk to really experienced and successful entrepreneurs and ecom founders, they all have different styles and they all have different strategies. And which is why like passively listening or talking or whatever, it only helps you so much. You have to do it yourself to figure out what your specific style is going to be and what your strategy is going to be. And like, it's easy to get stuck in the like, I'm just going to watch YouTube for a month and, end up more confused than I was at the beginning. And so you just got to get your hands dirty and do it is my feeling.
And like you said, also being selective, like who you take the information from, like not taking information from too many different sources, because if they're contradictory to each other, then you just be left confused.
Totally. Yeah.
So for you, like what kind of category, what niche did you decide to go in?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Pet Lab Co, because I'm in the pet space.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like the gadgets, or more like on the supplement side?
Supplement.
That's a good niche. I've heard with pet niche, like if you get your product right, like the retention is just crazy. People just keep buying your stuff, and like they just like don't unsubscribe, because if their dogs like it, for instance, like they just keep buying it because like the dog likes it, and dog cannot say like,
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm still like on my first, almost all of my customers have ordered for the first time. And so in the next like few weeks or months, I'll start to see what the retention curve is like. But I'm hoping it's pretty solid.
Do you apply any of these things, like kind of like talking to your customers, like getting feedback from them directly, like kind of like any direct feedback loops like that?
Yeah, I especially in the beginning, the first like 100, 200 customers, I would personally email. I have like a cell phone number on the website, so I talk to customers who are calling and stuff like that, and that's pretty useful. I'm not getting that much feedback yet, to be honest. I think like I will start to get more, as people see whether this helps or doesn't help, and you start to get more, and then eventually whether or not they purchase again or not, that's like the ultimate feedback. So yeah, I would say I'm trying to get feedback. It's very hard to get feedback, I think, but it's useful.
Awesome. And so was you like, how did you go to the like factories? Did you go to suppliers, like in terms of like sourcing your products, like making them, like how was that process for you?
No. Oh, so that was one of the things I did during that first month when I was developing is, oh, and the other thing I would say is like, it is incredible what AI can do. Like like ChatGPT has gotten so good that it can, um, be a really strong resource. So it was helping me a lot with product development and things like that, and research. But I spoke to a lot of factories and things like that. They were going to just move very slowly, and so you just have to find partners who can move more quickly. But I found people who could move faster, and they weren't like the kind of traditional, really really big companies. But I'm slowly like moving more and more towards that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, like all of those moving parts, like in terms of like validation of the product and making sure that you're going into the right category, like did you go through a lot of data, like to make sure, like, okay, this is the category, this is the TAM, this is how many people are potentially, how many people potentially are in that market? So,
Yeah.
what was the thought process for you?
Yeah, I mean, I did some. I think you want to be in a growing market and you want to be in a market where the market can pull you up. So I like did preliminary research, and like the pet space specifically is like this massive growing market. It tends to, the trends in pets tends to lag behind the trends in humans by a couple years. And so you can almost like look at whatever the human trends are today, and that's what the pet trends are going to be in 2 years. Or you can look at what the human trends were like 2 years ago, and that's what the pet trends are going to be today. So that's kind of like the type of philosophy that I used. But as long as you're in a market that's growing and with real pain points, it doesn't need to be like $100 billion industry, even though actually the pet space is really big. So I think like more than market size, I would say I just wanted to be part of an industry that was like that, where I could like kind of understand, had a thesis on what the like market development cycles were, and the space was big, growing, and there were customers with real problems.
That's interesting. Also, I mean, I think with those big categories like pets, I see, inside of our programs, we have some people that have started like pet supplement brands in like Europe, and they're doing very, very well. It's kind of like you said with humans and pets, like where it's kind of like a few years behind, like what's for humans. Over time, they'll make it like, I don't know, multivitamins for pets, or like I don't know, peptides for pets, or like like whatever the next trend is. And then the same applies with different markets. Like some markets are a few years behind.
Totally.
Like Europe is a few years behind in terms of the trends, and you can take something that's working in the United States and apply it to European market, and you can like crush there. We had some people in our community that did, remember collagen when it was like blowing up in the United States? I mean, it was like probably like 10 years ago. It's when it started, like 5-10 years ago. And they applied that to German market, and now they're like number one. Now they're like a number one collagen seller in the whole of Europe, like in the whole Europe.
Yeah.
So they're doing massive numbers
Wow.
there. And so I think, like you said, is just looking at the trends and looking how you can apply, certain things where you can have like less competition, and also just like being aware like of certain things that are coming, and just being like one of the, if you're like one of the first people that jump on a specific trend, or even like create a trend, which is very possible. If you focus on the right opportunity, then you can absolutely crush.
Yeah, and like as you're ideating, like thinking about what your unique mechanism is going to be, that's almost like more important than anything else that you figure out.
How was the process? Was like, so you just talked about like unique mechanisms, which is the one of the big elements of copy. Like, was the copywriting totally new kind of skill set for you? Like, have you been exposed to copywriting before? I know like direct response copywriting. It's not something that like Silicon Valley is using a lot. So how was
Yeah,
that
you
learning?
know, it's interesting. Like the more that I was like learning the fundamentals of marketing and even direct response copywriting, the more I started to realize that like more tech companies should be using this stuff. This is like just very basic human behavior and like human understanding. And like I think like it's just like no matter what you're doing in life, I think learning that foundational stuff is actually super useful, even just like in interpersonal skills. So like I thought like the like learning all of this stuff has actually been really cool and really fun. Um, the specific style, yeah, I mean it takes some getting some work, but you just need to figure out who your customer is, and then you just have to like fall in love with this customer prototype and like learn who they are and like how they work and how they breathe. Um, but yeah, I think it's true. I think like a lot of there's a lot of like tech companies and stuff who probably think they're above it, but I don't think so. I think like this is actually just it's just a useful tool, you know, and some companies do more brand marketing, some do more direct response, but I think like learning both is pretty useful.
So how did you learn it? Like, did you start like reading like some VSLs, advertorials? Like, how was that learning curve for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the best way to learn writing is to like see who's successful and just study what they do. So there's all these like copywriting strategies, but basically, yeah, I mean, copy their writing. I think that's like the core of it. So
So
yeah.
just take successful, let's say, take successful VSLs, advertorials, print them out, or like just rewrite them yourself so you kind of understand the thought process behind it. And
Yeah, totally. And doing it yourself as opposed to just letting ChatGPT do it is also, I think, really important, especially as you're getting started. For
Mhm.
me, like in the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just let AI, and like none of that stuff worked nearly as well as like when I just like focused, sat down, spent time, and like produce something kind of like, you know, you use models and the formats and the structures, you copy those, but the content you really have to like understand, and you have to I think writing it myself was really useful.
Mm. So we have a question here from Nate. I'm trying to be successful in pet niche, sold some things here and there, just hard to break even and stay consistent, trying to match how other competitors are selling their products with Facebook ads. What advice would you give there?
Yeah. I know. Well, I'm at my beginning as well, so I'm probably struggling with a lot of that too. Um, I think it's you always just go back to the fundamentals. You need a unique mechanism that is going to resonate, and you need to identify the pain point. Like everything, whenever things are not working, it's always just going back to the fundamentals of like your whatever. Like what I figure out when things are not working for me is like my hook is not working, my unique mechanism is not working, something is not, you know, and it's just kind of like just isolating those and
So
going
it's
back to
more
it.
about like, I mean, from what you mentioned is, and I have very similar experience with that as well. So it's almost like not as much about the product. I mean, product can be differentiated like in some ways, but it's also how you communicate the product. It's like there could be like one ingredient that like everyone else is like, maybe like you have 10 other sellers of your pet product. Everyone has the same ingredients, but you do your research and you find out that that one ingredient is kind of like has some unique qualities or maybe some research behind it that proves it's very kind of like very successful for certain conditions or something like that. And then you just double down on that ingredient and make kind of like the whole kind of essence of your product. This is why other products didn't work, because they don't have this ingredient, and not just didn't have this ingredient, like, but this ingredient in a specific quantities, in a specific quality, sourced from specific sources. That's why other products don't work and this product works.
Hmm. Right. Totally. And you need to not be selling snake oil. I mean, to be honest, a lot of people do sell snake oil in our probably pretty successful doing it. I don't want to do that and take advantage of people. So for me, it was but having a product that works, if you can't market it, is just as useless as having a product that doesn't work, you know? And so you do need to figure out
So
how
you need
how
a good
to
product and you need
message
good
it.
marketing.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything you got to be good at everything.
For sure, man. So how was the experience in Brand Builders Academy for you so far?
Well, I'm in ESS,
Oh, you're in this.
and and it's great. It's awesome. I love it. These guys they know the thing that is unique about this, and that I didn't. I've been pitched masterminds before, but usually when you get pitched a course or whatever, it's from someone who maybe was successful in the past. What I like about this is these are actual practitioners who are living and breathing the stuff that they're building businesses, and this is just the thing they do on the side. And so I think the level of insight is just dramatically superior to the level of insight that you get from a lot of other courses. And full-time professional course creators are not able to really, especially in something that moves as fast as ecom.
Yeah.
Having people who are in the game is just so much more valuable, you know?
Yeah, man, I found exactly the same thing. The first people that I was learning from, they were, they've kind of got good with e-commerce, or some of them even had successful exit in the past, but they were kind of disattached from the space. And it's you can get some bigger ideas and some good kind of mindset shifts, but in e-commerce, like you said, it's changing so fast, and it's so oftentimes it's so tactical. There's things changing, what's working, what doesn't work, different industries, different niches as well, new products, new trends being introduced. And so it's you have to be really on it. And thank you for kind words. We have a team of people that majority of our people, they pretty much everyone, they've been through our program themselves. They build successful business, they're still running successful business, and that's I think what makes a difference.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't even know where I'd be if I was completely on my own. I think having the coaching has been so valuable.
Was it did you do a lot of coaching before, was other aspects, obviously you were building companies, and did you do a lot of coaching for those?
No. Very little. I've always been very skeptical of coaching, of online courses and
Interesting.
things like that. I've taken some here and there that can be useful, but this is the first time I'm building a business where I'm the only person on the team, and so this also is useful because it helps me it's just useful to have other people to talk to who you can share your problems with, and even just from an emotional level, being able to have people who know who are in it with you day to day, and kind of in the grind and know your journey. I think that's also quite useful. So yeah, I've done I would say some courses in the past, but this is by far the best one I've done.
What made the difference? So before you were skeptical about coaching, and what made a difference for you? What made that mindset shift that you decided to join our community?
One, I knew somebody who was in the program, and they had really great things to say. And then two, I think the structure of it, where you can have a lot of one-on-one conversations, and it's not just once a week. You can do it 2 or 3 times a week. So you have this cadence of I can try things, and then there's a few different touch points. I think that's part of the reason why it's so useful, is because you get so many more touch points. So I like that structure. And then the third thing, which I already mentioned, is I really appreciated that these were not people who make all of their money by selling courses, that this is a side business. They have a full-time job doing the thing that they're teaching. And I think it just, that's really what resonated with me.
Mm-hmm. And so for you mentioned you pretty much doing everything on your own right now?
Besides video editing, I'm doing everything else. Yeah.
So you have like a full-time video editor or like part-time video editor?
Yeah. Ish. Yeah. Somebody abroad. Yeah.
And everything else you do by yourself?
Yeah.
And so is it like overwhelming? Like kind of like
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I also just had a baby, so I'm just like in the grind right now. Thanks. So it is a lot. I'm thinking this is a phase. I'm trying to, I'm still validating parts of the business, and eventually I'll stop doing everything myself. But right now, I think it's important to, and but it is a fucking grind. And sorry for cursing, but
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's because it's it's a situation that a lot of people are in. I have two kids as well, and like trying to kind of just run a business, run a family. Like there's so many things that are happening, and so I think a lot of people are in a similar situation where they don't have much time, like to kind of like to dedicate to their business, and also they might want to get into business, but like, oh, I don't have enough time to do it. How was that? Like, was that like kind of just like decision, like, okay, I'll make it happen no matter what, I'll find the time? Or how was it thought process for you kind of like to commit?
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, it's a lot of moving parts, it's a lot of work, at least at the beginning. Like you have to do many things by yourself. So how was that thought process for you to commit to it?
Yeah. So what I would say is usually with the like excuse of I don't have time is not usually true. There's actually a lot of time. It's just how do you want to allocate your time?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people allocate, I procrastinate, I waste time. But the other thing I liked about this is like I work better under pressure. And so I just created the situation where like I'm just under pressure right now. And I think it helps me focus and it helps me get more done. And the other thing is what was helpful for me is like I am going to time box this where I'm looking at this as like, hey, I need to validate that this business idea can work. I think I've gotten to the point where it can work. And so that, now, you commit to the next phase of like, all right, let's try these series of things and see if I can be successful doing them. And if I can't, then, you think about things on some sort of like timeline and phases. And like, if things, give yourself enough runway where you really focus and dedicate yourself and try it. And if it doesn't work, you can always change, whatever. If this doesn't work, I'll do something different. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, when you're in the day to day, it's a lot.
So you basically you kind of like run it as a test almost, right? Okay, so this is the like idea, for instance. I'll give it like specific
Yeah.
amount of time to validate this idea, and I'll give it my
Yeah.
best for a specific amount of time. If it works, works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's that, but then it's also, and having a baby, I think is very clarifying. I also have two kids, which is like, also, I have to make it work. I don't really have a choice. It has to work, and removing the like, no, failure is not really an option here. I'm going to have to make it work. I'm going to have to make something work. And and the other thing is like, again, when I mentioned like e-com is like hard, but it's simple. It's like, I already know it can work. It works for people. Like, why not me? Let's like, so it's not like I'm building a rocket, which I don't know if I can do. This is a solvable game. This is like a game you can win. People win it.
Man, I was because e-commerce, like there's obviously there's certain moving parts. There's a product, there's marketing, there's conversion rate. There's like several moving parts, and at times it might feel overwhelming. But then I was driving my car the other day, and I was looking at all of the like at the car, like you have the steering wheel, you have all the little buttons, you have the engine, you have like everything that goes into it. You have tens of thousands of parts that make a car, and somehow people figured that shit out.
Yeah.
So if people can figure that shit out, how to make a fucking car, send it across the ocean, like sell it like through dealership, and and make all those things happen, and the car goes like 100 miles an hour, and it's safe. It's like you can probably figure out like e-commerce business was like 5 moving parts.
Right.
Yes. So
Totally.
it's like, okay, obviously like these people have
Totally.
been doing this for a long time. There's big teams, but it's like it's not unsolvable. It's like once you start breaking stuff down into parts, okay, there's a product, there is a marketing, okay, the moving parts of the marketing, okay, moving parts of the product, okay, it's a quality, it's consistency with quality, it's shipping times, then marketing. Okay, what are the moving parts of the marketing? It's a website, it's your ads, bigger parts. Okay, then you're
Right.
breaking those down. Okay, what is a marketing? The unique mechanism, copy, hooks, B-roll. Like you start breaking stuff down, and then the more time goes by, the more you're able to look at the data and pinpoint a specific problem. Okay, my ads are not working. Like you said, you look into your ad. Okay, it's hooks, unique mechanism. Okay, what is it? What is the actual problem? That you diagnose it very fast, and then you address it and you fix it. And so now you overcame that constraint. Now your business starts scaling up. Now you're hitting another constraint. Okay, maybe it's my production. Maybe it's my conversion rate. Now you're addressing that concern. But once you start breaking stuff down, like you take e-commerce as a whole, right? Like it's at the end of the day, it's like the product, there's a customer, and you're in the middle, right? The product that solves a problem for a customer, you're a middleman that puts that product in customers' hands and solves one of their life's problems. That's it. That's the whole business.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think kind of like simplifying in your mind, maybe even putting it on paper, is what would help
Yeah.
you kind of avoid this overwhelm.
Yeah. Totally. And yeah, I mean, it's so much just about how the story you tell yourself, like, that, and having, it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get really depressed or whatever, pessimistic. But you just have to break out of it, and getting small wins and seeing things, doing something. That's why you just have to, for me, just doing more stuff, because eventually something will work. And then that's very motivating. Once you see like some
Mhm.
small wins, I think that's really helpful to get past the like, shit, fuck it, this is too hard, whatever, this
Yeah.
is too difficult. It's never gonna work,
Yeah, and that's usually what stops people. Like if you think about it, like you said, Shopify is a tremendous tool. Like for you, like getting into this space like just like a few months ago, you're looking at all of this, like, hey, you can build like an online business like in one afternoon, like literally something that can be scaled, something that is, like viable business. That, like in Silicon Valley, I know some people like spend like millions of dollars just building a prototype, or like MVP. And like here you can get something to the market so fast, so many people have access to it, and at the same time very small percentage of people that open Shopify stores actually sticking to it. And for me that was always like very like fascinating thing, and I was always like, how do we help people like kind of like overcome that? It's pretty much mental barrier for the most part, right? Because if they believed that this is possible, that like, okay,
hmm
even if I launch my first product and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that e-commerce doesn't work. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that the variables that you put in front of, in front of your audience, in front of your customers, are not the right variables, and you have to change the variables. Like you have to change the
Totally.
input in order to change your outputs. And yeah, that was always like very fascinating to me, kind of just reflecting on my journey as well. Like when I launched my first products and it didn't work, and I would get like, demotivated, disappointed, my wife would like support me, like just like, hey, let's keep going, like let's figure out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's the other thing that's really helpful about the program is like you have those touch points and you're talking to people who are like, and it's funny because like the problems I'm having are so small, it's like these are so simple compared to, I'm sure, the challenges of running like really, really, really big businesses. And so it's helpful to get that. They help contextualize that of like, yeah, you're gonna figure it out. It's fine. Like we'll get you to the next step. It's like, all of this is just like, these mind games we play on ourselves. So yeah, that's really helpful.
For sure, moment. So what's for you? You started doing funnels like from day one.
Yeah.
So what do you use? You use Funnelish?
Yeah, I know I don't know. It's funny. It's like, but when I talk to people, you get so many different opinions. So I just, this is what I'm using right now. I'm not, and some people love it, some people hate it. For me, it's working so far. So we'll see.
And so you built all the funnels yourself?
Yeah, but there's all these like templates and stuff. So it's not. I don't know if these are like the greatest funnels in the world, but they're, yeah. I mean, you build it yourself, but they're not like that complicated, I would say.
Yeah, I'm asking all these questions just kind of like to see your thought process, and like if you can get into the new industry basically just like in few months, you can figure out the basics, you can get the business like to off the ground, you can generate revenue, you can generate profit. Like it's like, for me, that's such a tremendous like proof of concept that like anyone watching this, like if they truly wanted to make it happen, and if they allocated time and effort and energy to make it happen, and if they have been like in a, got someone by their side who would give them feedback and push them if necessary, like it's not rocket science. It's just like committing to it, sticking to it, and just doing this like day in, day out, learning from your mistakes, because inevitably you'll make some. Like not everything that you launch like will work out, and you'll make a lot of mistakes, but you'll learn from those mistakes and you'll become smarter from those mistakes. And I think, because like, I mean, for you, like you've been in business for a long time, you understand that like not every company in Silicon Valley that raises hundreds of millions of dollars is successful, right? There's some of those companies,
the vast majority are not, and so the vast majority of everyone who tries to build anything fails over and over but you just need to succeed once, really. And you get unlimited shots on goal. And yeah, e-commerce, it's every business is hard. If you want to be an entrepreneur, like running a restaurant is hard, running a laundromat is hard, running a tech company is hard. Everything is hard. If you want it, you just got to do it.
And it's like, so the perspective there is like, okay, if there are companies, let's say in Silicon Valley, that are raising like a lot of money, let's say the company raises $100 million, and for whatever reason that company like doesn't succeed, like doesn't survive, just like goes out of business, right? And so like people running that company, I mean, 99% chance, I mean, probably 100%, they're pretty smart people for the most part. They're not stupid, right? So if those people can have mistakes, then all of us can do mistakes. It's like it's not even fair to put these like kind of like unrealistic expectations, like people have, oh, I'm launching the first product, like I'll be like first product will be successful, if not, this is not for me.
No, it's a great point. When I went into this, actually, I was like, nobody is ever successful day one. It never goes exactly smoothly. I was like, all right, I'm going to dedicate at least 18 months to this, and like give yourself a real shot of, I know a lot of people who try something and they're like, I'm going to do it for 2 or 3 months. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll go do something else. And that's just usually not enough time to do something. You have to dedicate yourself and give yourself enough leeway so that you can make the mistakes and learn from them and try again and work hard, and you learn and you give yourself enough time, you'll be successful. I think that's like true about basically everything in life. It's like, if you're dedicated for enough time, you will always be successful. The only time you fail is if you give up too fast, and I'm not saying like a specific company, like your specific product could fail, your specific company, whatever you could, but like whatever, for if you're doing something as a career. So like, that's how I thought about it. It was like, all right, I need to give myself enough time to take enough swings here. And for me, I think like 18 months is really like when is like, that's like a lot of time. That's like enough time, I think.
Oh man, I think yeah, if you truly committed like to e-commerce or anything else like for 18 months and you learn from your mistakes and you got some guidance like along the way as well, so you're not making like, at least you can avoid like half of the mistakes, right, with help of other people, and just
Hmm.
getting other people help to reflect on your own mistakes, because sometimes we just don't see the bigger picture, and we don't see like kind of like all the moving parts because we take it too personally. And so it's very hard to fail if you do that. It's pretty
Yeah.
hard. Like,
But doing that is hard. But yeah, you're right.
but it's so worth it, right? Like it's like the way I look at it is, let's say 5, 10, 20 time year like time frame. And so if you're looking like, let's say the 10-year time frame, okay, let's say your first year in business sucks. Like you just break even, maybe you lose some money, right? But you learn a lot.
Hmm.
Then next year, like you're coming in, like, I mean, you already have some experience. You're not starting like completely from zero. You learn something. You already have some, kind of like, I think experience is everything in business. And so you already, with that experience, like next year, boom, like you just taking that business. And with e-commerce, like I have seen it. I mean, you've seen it probably as well, like in our community, like the people that are, doing millions of dollars per month, like even in the SS community you're part of. I would love to introduce you to some people, by the way. So it just like so many of these stories, like entrepreneurs, like first year in business, it sucks. Like sometimes even like second year in business, it's kind of like sucks. Like, they break even, they're not making like a lot of money. Some people are doing very well from day one, like happens as well. But then like year 3, 4, 5, they're doing like
Yeah.
millions of dollars per month. And so, and
Yeah.
like now at this point, it's like, okay, you do that for like few years, like you are financially set for life. Like, so
Yeah.
that's like, okay, is that initial struggle, is that initial pain worth it? Especially, for people that currently doing something that they don't enjoy, don't like, they
Yeah.
work a job, like they commute like 2 hours each way, like, and just don't spend a lot of time with their families, and just like don't like what they do, don't
Yeah.
like the environment, don't like their boss, like don't like whatever. And so it's I think just kind of like reflecting on bigger time frames and thinking, okay, so if I try it, if I give it my best shot for like you said, I think I love that time from 18 months, like what's the worst that can happen? Like the worst case scenario, I
Yeah.
just gain like shitload of skills that could be valuable.
Totally.
Like even using AI, like what you're going right now, like using AI, like in building e-commerce business because you're trying to be more efficient. I mean, you can apply that to any job, pretty much any job. Like you can analyze
Yeah.
spreadsheets with AI, like you can analyze data, you can write copy, like you can almost any job you have, you can streamline in some way with AI. Maybe unless
Yeah.
some labor job or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great point. Someone gave me this a piece of advice and I thought it was very poignant. They were like, the way you can guarantee success is just do whatever you're doing and just take it more seriously than everybody else. You can basically pick anything. And as long as you take it more seriously, you will always win eventually if you give yourself enough
Uh,
time.
that's such a good
Um,
point. Awesome, my man.
so, but yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Did you surpass your first 100K months or not yet?
I think this is going to be the month that I
Yeah,
do that. So,
let's fucking go.
yeah.
Nice. Um,
Uh,
yeah, looking forward to seeing you at 100K a month. First, that's the first benchmark. We have these benchmarks like 100K a month. Next one is 1 million months. And
okay.
yeah, yeah, for me, like seeing, like, I mean, just having this conversation, just reflecting like what's possible. Like, I mean, you pretty much just started like a few months ago. You're already having some good traction. It's definitely not where you want to be, but it's like for many people, like getting that first momentum, getting to even like $1,000 a day in sales, it's just a paradigm shift. It's like, yeah, you
Yeah,
can do that, like
totally.
working from home, like with just creating something out of thin air and creating like a viable business.
Yeah.
So it was amazing having this conversation and learning about your story. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and achieving some amazing next breakthroughs.
Hopefully. I appreciate it, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my man. And what would you say? Maybe one last thing. Like, what would you say to someone who's like, I don't know, maybe considering joining like ESS, our community? Like, what would you say to those people about
Yeah,
your?
I think if you want to learn something new and you want to jump on this journey, don't do it alone. Find the right people who you can bounce ideas off of and learn from. And for me, this has been it has been really a game changer. So I'm very appreciative of this program and of everything you guys have built.
Awesome, man. And yeah, we're looking forward to keep serving you and keep helping you. So yeah, I'll see you at 100K a month and then 1 million a month, my man. Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Neeraj.
man.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.